dark was, "Hoo, hoo." And all of a sudden, it got real quiet. My brother called out again, and he goes, "Hey, Dad." And he got the resounding, "Hoo, hoo, hoo." And my brother had had enough. He reached out into the dark and reached, and all he could feel was my dad's hairy chest, and he wasn't going to take a third time. As my dad, "Hoo, hoo," one more time, my brother hauled off and hit him. My dad busted up laughing. And there was born the name that we carried for many years with my dad. Apo was created. As I mentioned, my dad loved being a Trojan. His memories of USC were some of his brightest. His time playing football, the friendships forged, and maybe the most of all, finding the love of his life. Ken met Mary Lynn at USC. The never-ending love story began. My dad forever loved Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn could not be here today, but certainly is here in spirit. As up and down, in and out, these two's relationship was. Over the passing years, our family dynamics continue to bring them together, and they continue to enjoy each other's company through the years. The picture shown here was of 3 years ago, on Veterans Day, on my front porch of my home here in Tucson. Speaking Mary Lynn's name always perked my dad up, gave him a twinkle in his eye and a smile on his face. The word legacy come for legacy for my dad. His legacy was the love he showed his children to help them become who they are today. His legacy lives in his grandchildren through the affection and playfulness he shared with them. His legacy is all of you here today with your own stories and memories, with tales of the larger-than-life individual. Intentionally or unintentionally, he had touched and influenced lives, many more lives than he ever came to realize. Some of those deeply influenced, silently inspired, are here today. He inspired by demonstrating heart to overcome obstacles. The photo behind you is of my dear friend Mark Gomez, also known as Mark Brooks, a Hollywood stuntman. Now, Mark regretfully could not get here today because of professional obligations, but wanted me to share his Ken Antle story of heart. Mark Gomez was my best friend growing up in high school. We were inseparable. He became close with Dad as I lived with Dad my senior year. Mark was always there with us. Every Friday, my dad would take Mark and I during football season to go have lunch at the Oracle Racket Club, and Mark loved that part of it. He loved sitting down with my dad, and even if my dad wasn't there, it went on my dad's bill, and Mark just always loved that. Well, during that year, my dad would sit up in the stands over on the guest bleacher side, smoking his pipe, not to get in anybody's way. And it was after one of those practices later in the season that he approached Mark. And he asked Mark, "Do you think you can go play football after high school?" And Mark sheepishly looked up at my dad and said, "Well, Mr. Antle, I'm pretty small. I don't think I'll be able to go play." And my dad challenged him and says, "Mark, I went to go play football at USC." And Mark stumbled for that reply and said, "Yes, sir." And my dad said, "Mark, I played as an interior lineman at 175 pounds against men much bigger than me. Mark, you might ask how I was able to do that. And I'll tell you, it was all from here." And he reached to his chest, and Mark looked at him, and he realized that he was telling him, it's all about heart. So I go back to this picture up there on the wall, as Mark did go ahead and played football after high school at Mesa Junior Community College. He went on to become a self-made stuntman in the Western movies. And here's a shot from going into the West, on a shot that this took 4 takes, as he had to plow off the top of this stagecoach and hit the ground. And he told me in that episode, he said during this adventure, he goes, "You know what it took to get to that 4th take?" He goes, listening to your dad and knowing that it takes heart. The picture behind me is of Ricky Ellison. San Francisco 49er, also played for the Oakland Raiders. This is one of Dad's proudest USC endeavors. He was being Ricky Gray's freshman sponsor as Ricky came from a small Tucson high school, Amphi High, and received a scholarship to USC. And I wanted to share Ricky's email here today. Barry, your dad was a stud and awesome. We will never forget him as he took me under his wing when I was 17 and just graduated from high school in Arizona and worked on his farms in Casa Grande, staying at his pad and getting on tractors, cutting cotton in 120 degrees heat and chewing tobacco. He would take me after work and we would run the desert hard, 3 to 4 miles following him, making me tough. That summer in 1978 was huge for me, and his love of USC and Margoo was inspirational to me. I left that life-changing experience. Your dad in August that year, I left life-changing experience with your dad in August that year and became the first USC freshman to ever start on defense for USC, and went on to win the national championship, as well as beat Alabama with Bear Bryant, Notre Dame with Joe Montana, and Michigan in the Rose Bowl with Bo. Your dad made me what I am today, and I am forever grateful for that. He would also be proud of my son, who ended up being captain of the USC football team and now plays for the Minnesota Vikings. Stay strong and let me know if I can do anything more to help you with your dad's celebration. Fight on. So thank you. Thank you for listening to my stories of my dad, to hear how his big heart touched so many. So as we head out today, symbolically saddling and mounting our horses, securing our hats for the long journey home, we can be assured, whether rain or shine, the spirit of Ken Antle rides along. God bless you, Dad. God bless. You are so missed.